Hi, everybody. Welcome to MEDIADOM, where every 2 weeks we discuss movies, TV shows, and all kinds of pop culture media. My name is Manu.
And my name is Rebecca. And in this episode, we will be discussing the latest Pixar movie, Soul. So now that we have talked a little bit about that, we're going to talk about Soul, which is a Pixar animated movie released on streaming platform Disney Plus on December 2020. It is directed by Pete Dockner, co-directed by Ken Powers, and produced by Dana Murray, Dan Scallon, and Mike Jones. Soul follows the story of middle school music teacher Joe Gardner, who has a passion for jazz. Just when he's about to get the gig of his life, he gets into an accident that separates his soul from his body. In an attempt to get back to Earth, he meets and enlists the help for Soul 22 and other characters like Moonwing, and begins a journey that will forever change the perspective he had of life. The movie stars Jamie Foxx in the role of Joe, Tina Fey in the role of 22, Graham Norton in the role of Moonwing, and Rachel House as Terry. Now that we got that into the way, let's begin discussing the movie.
Yeah, so do you want to start by saying, like, what was the best thing, worst thing for you? Like, just one, if you can think of one?
I think what I liked the most about the movie was the message about just living your life and not letting your life be defined by a spark or a purpose. I think that was really meaningful for me, and it did it really well. What about you? What did you like the most?
Well, I wanted to ask you first if you can think of like a worst thing that because that's where like I was suggesting like there could be a challenge. Like what about this movie could you say like you didn't like, maybe, before I say my take?
I really liked the movie. I didn't dislike anything. It was just like for me it was a really great movie. I couldn't see anything wrong with it.
Okay, that's great. So you're like the way you feel towards Soul is essentially the way I feel toward The Last Jedi, which is really great. For me personally, I also thought that the message was great. I don't want to just repeat what you say, so I'm gonna say instead that I really like the structure of the movie, and I like it like because I think it really helps the way like the message is conveyed. So I'm kind of cheating there, but I'm gonna say like the structure, like the way they just lay it all out. And for worst thing, I don't think like I'm not gonna say like it's like okay, no, I'm sorry. I honestly I can't really conceive of something that I actually like genuinely disliked. Like I didn't feel like it was too long or really anything that bothered me. I really hope this doesn't make the discussion seem like too artificial. Like I promise you, whoever's listening, we are not just like paid off by anyone to give like a glowing review, but I can't at the moment think of anything like I hate it. So
We're
I'm
not paid by
sorry
Disney.
about that to anyone who's
we
listening.
are just like
yeah. If
but
they want to pay us, though, I mean, I'm open to
it would be
but
really great
at the moment, no. Yeah, I mean, please, someone.
Please. I think that's one of the biggest things of the movie is how universal it is. Like
Yeah.
on first hand, I cannot think of a single thing I dislike about the movie, and I think a lot of people that have watched it have told me exactly the same thing. Like the movie, it's just really well done.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like I can think of very few instances of movies like this. Like the most recent that I can think of, and like in my defense, I mean, it's not that long ago, but that last Spider-Man movie, the one that was like animated, like I had a very similar thing where like I had problems with it, but I saw around me that it was very like unanimously like, oh yeah, I loved it. Like I didn't see anyone like really complain about it. I think it's a very similar kind of appeal. Like it just like aims for something that I think is very like universally like understandable or understood, and it does it in such a way that is very harmless, I think, like as opposed to like I don't know, like what could be an example of a Pixar movie that takes something that is very like general but does it in a very strange way. I don't know, maybe like I don't know, Cars 3, if I remember correctly, for instance, like the message of that movie was very like uncontroversially like good and fine, but like people didn't really care for it because of the execution. I think this one really hit both things, right? Like the message is
Yeah.
very universal, but the execution is very like anyone can get on board with it. So
Yeah,
I agree with you.
that's also the one of the things that I really like about Pixar, because people who grew up watching Pixar are now in their 20s or in their 30s when the first movie came out in
Yeah.
1995, which was Toy Story. And now these people have obviously grown up and they're still fans of Pixar, which is really, really great. And at the same time, they're still
Yeah.
like engaging new generations. And it works because the message that they're trying to tell works for both adults and for kids, and it does it in a really entertaining way. I really like that they still are taking into consideration the kids that grew up with Pixar, and they're still like releasing movies that they would definitely like. It's something that no other company has ever done that well.
Yeah, I mean, because like especially like with this one, I was thinking like as I was watching, like this is the most like the movie. Like, as it was starting, I didn't see much trailers for this. I just knew like the design of the characters, like in the real world, not in like heaven supposedly. So as I was watching it, I was like thinking like, what's up with it? Like, is this again? Why was this animated if it looks to be like a straight up story like about jazz, you know? And then I think what I'm trying to get to is that they really like managed to do it in such a way where there's a lot there for like adults, but it doesn't like the fact that it's done animated, which a lot of people would consider to be like, oh, it's for children. It's like, yeah, I mean, they're using that, you know, and they're not forgetting about children. I mean, and to be honest, I haven't talked to any like kids about how they felt about the movie. I imagine they liked it, but
Yeah,
I
they
do think
do.
it is
My
okay.
niece, she's 5, and she really liked it.
Okay, that's great because I was thinking like, okay, like for adults, this does seem like okay, yeah, it's an animated movie. I can see why it's for kids, but I wonder like, do our kids actually enjoying it? Because it is, I think, the most maybe like only second to like Up. I think it's the most like quote unquote grown up Pixar movie. I mean,
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
include like Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4, I guess, but I still think like, especially because of the subject matter, like it's with done with toys, like it is more easily like digestible as quote unquote like children's movie. I don't think it is, but I think like that's kind of how it works. I did feel this one was more like that, but it's good to know that kids like it, so that's great.
Yeah, it's so cool. I really like it, and what I loved the most about it were the characters. I really did. Like Joe and 22. Like as a 20-year old, I really felt identified with both parties. Like, yeah, because Joe was having like this moment where he thought like music is my spark, and he dedicated everything to music. But 22 was like a living existential crisis, and I felt like really identified with both of them. What did you think about the characters?
Yeah, I thought like when I said that the thing I liked the most was the structure, and I think that the structure works because of the characters, and that's like a platitude to say because like of course like these are things that are intertwined and related. Like of course they work in synchrony, but I think it's important because these two characters specifically like in a way the movie, and this is common of other Pixar movies, which I think we should like talk about in a minute, but like the movie like kind of keeps you guessing on what's going to happen because of the structure, but not, I think, in such a way that by the end you're like, oh, I didn't think, like I can't see how we got here. Like it does so in such a way where like you could see as you're going through the movie many possible roads that the story could take, and the ones, excuse me, that it takes, like they feel right. Again, I'm talking out of personal experience. From what I see, people seem to generally agree with that, so that's really good. And I really like speaking specifically to those two characters, Joe and 22. I think for the first, I mean, sorry, for the second time like in a row, like like, as I was watching it, I was thinking of the fact that this is like a trope in Pixar movies, like the buddy cop, like what is it, like dual protagonists, like the main character and the like funny foil character, um
Kind of like
well,
what they do in Toy Story, where there's Woody and there's Buzz, and
yeah,
one is the serious one is the most
yeah,
relaxed one. Yeah,
I thought of that. I wasn't sure if I wanted to say that Buzz Lightyear was the more funny one. I guess, I mean, I guess he is, yeah, especially in that first movie, and the last one. Even though I have issues with the way they played him in that one, but I thought like also like, okay, with Cars, I mean that's not the best example of a Pixar movie, but it's like there's this show that they do this a lot of the dual protagonists. I don't think they do it in like A Bug's Life, but that movie is an exception, like in a lot of ways. But
oh,
if
also in Inside Out, there's
oh yeah,
joy and there's sadness, and they're
yeah,
also like dual protagonists.
yeah, they're dual protagonists, and they're like very very noticeably like foils for one another. And you know what, I'm actually, that's, it's really great that you brought that you brought up Inside Out, because I think structurally I think it's the easiest one to compare in like a positive way, like why I think this one worked. And on the other hand, I think um, structurally it's very similar in some ways, I guess, to Brave. And but that's like, I want to say like a negative example. I don't hate it from what I remember of that movie, but for most people it seemed to be very forgettable. But I think like the way the structure works and is very similar. But I think with this one, it's more on the side of like Inside Out, where it like really really hit. But I mean, I think we've been talking very like openly here. I guess we should talk very specifically like about each character for a moment, just so that we're not like going too far. Just first talk about each of them individually. I don't know if you want to start with that.
Well, maybe we can start with Joe, since he's the first character we meet.
Yeah,
You know, one of the things, Joe is in his 30s. He's a middle school teacher, and clearly he doesn't like his job. I mean, he loves music, but he doesn't like teaching, or he doesn't
yeah,
see like the point of it. And he has spent his entire life pursuing music and doing jig after jig after jig, and there's no success on it. He's just like stranded, and that's
yeah,
obviously something that really bothers him.
of
And
course.
as a 20-year-old, I can speak to myself that that's like my biggest fear ever. Like, which really hit on the nail when I saw him. I was like, this guy could be me. I was like,
Which is really great. Yeah, I agree. I think, and I haven't done like a global survey on this, but I think that is the experience of like a lot of people, both our age. I'm 21, so yeah, and but
we're both
also like,
21.
yeah, so it hit us. Like, I think, I don't know if it was made for us or if it was made for older people who are more like genuinely like Joe's age, like to 30 to 35. But it's, I guess it's that awkward stage of life, from 20 to 35, where I guess you don't really know what you're doing in the modern world, maybe. So I mean, I think very specifically, like, I think the movie is really good at capitalizing on the like anxieties of the younger generations, like 40 to like okay, yeah, 0 years old to 40 years old, because I think like the sensibilities are very different, and like fearing to the sense that you're maybe not going to accomplish anything and that you don't know how to give your life meaning. I'm not saying that people didn't have that before, but I think that it has become like more like cultural.
Popular, yeah.
Yeah, it's popular to that to not know what to do with your life, unfortunately. Yeah. I guess it's become part of like cultural discourse to talk about, oh, I don't know what to do with my life. What up? Like, is my life not worth anything? something
Do
like that.
you think that the name Joe is symbolic?
Honestly, first I thought you were gonna say, "Do you think your life is worth something?" No, I'm kidding.
No.
The Joe. Do you mean? Would you say like as a like a way of saying in Spanish, like Joe, or how would you suggest that it is symbolic?
From the phrase average Joe, because
Oh
he's
yeah,
a
no, you know
really
what? Yeah,
average person. He
no,
hasn't
yeah,
done anything.
yeah, definitely, yeah. I didn't even think of that. I don't know why I went with the weird bilingual read on it. But yeah, I completely agree. And it went like it's not too like when you say it, it's completely like obvious. But in the moment, I really wasn't thinking of it. I think that's great.
Thanks. When we first discussed it before recording it, I thought about that, but it didn't really sink on me
You
until right now. Like, yeah, do you think it was symbolic?
Well, I wasn't sure when you said it right now. I wasn't sure if you had actually told me already, and I thought, oh my god, I'm gonna look like a complete fool if she already told me it. I don't remember. No, I think I'm glad you didn't tell me before. Usually, I have better memory than that, but yeah. So okay. Oh, and also, this is very like yeah. I'm gonna sound like very like Generation Z, I guess. I really like and this is gonna sound very superficial for a lot of people, I imagine, but I really like that they're going with like a dark skinned protagonist here, right? Because, well, like you said, this is like his experience, like in terms of what he wants to do with his life, and clearly, like economically, is something that a lot of people can relate to. And I'm glad that they went with like a minority so that people can, because this movie is going to be seen by a lot of children. And I mean, of course, there's not, from what I can tell, in the main like big companies, big movies for like animated movies, you don't really see that much. So I think it's really great that we're starting to do this, and like we're starting to have uh, people of color, in main roles, so that we can start to see them, like their perspectives, their experiences, so that people can start to see that you can relate to anyone, even if they don't really look like you. So yeah, I thought, like, I personally I like that. I don't know if I like diversity at the expense of quality, but fortunately in this case it's not like they're not opposite. They're kind of like it both has the it is both diverse and good for representation, and like genuinely like a good movie for other reasons. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and there was also, I think, the student, the one that visited Joe at his house,
Uh-huh.
was from Asian descendancy, and it was really well done. And I didn't think it was cheap or anything like that. I think it was genuinely just like diversity in the
Yeah.
best point. In
Yeah, it just, yeah, because yeah, I mean, I guess it's in such a way, like, you mean like that people, for some people, even if they don't do it like with bad faith, like they do feel like, oh, you're shoving it in my face, but they did it in such a way that it feels very organic, is essentially what you mean, right?
Yeah, basically that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't even remember like that she was like of Asian descent. So that's great. And because I look for that stuff and I forgot. So I think that's great that it wasn't, not that I care that it's too in my face, but like trying to project like, okay, how would these kinds of people feel watching this, right? It's just like telling people that, yeah, these people exist, they are a part of life, you should see them in animated movies as well, right? You see animated movies about cars, why wouldn't you see about people of color? I guess.
The thing is that people complain about the diversity because they feel more like just add something for diversity than actual characters. And what Pixar did was make them actual characters, which is why, as you said before, it feels a lot more organic than in other movies where they just like shove it in your face and they don't really
Yeah,
have a personality.
yeah. Like, I mean, for my money, honestly, I am aware that a lot of like movies and TV shows and whatnot, they have those kind of like, oh, the token like black character,
Yeah.
and often they are, I guess, not much anymore. Maybe with like LGBT minorities, it still is very much like just stereotypes. I think with racial stereotypes, we're kind of already getting past that. Generally speaking, I know that it's done more for like, just to appeal like economically, like, oh, it's hip and cool to be diverse. I don't care like about the intent. I think it's fine. But like I do think like when you said that, I thought about the kissing booth. I don't know the first one or the second one,
Oh,
but I'm almost
horrible.
positive that there was like a gay couple, and there wasn't really a story. They just were there, and like great, yeah, the more gay people, but please like give them a story. Like I want the spinoff about them. I don't care what you call it.
And it
I
was,
guess, but yeah,
you know what was the worst about that movie? The fact
I
that
can think of
it
a few
was,
things.
oh, there's a lot of things.
Yeah.
But one of the, like, speaking about the gay couple storyline,
Yeah.
the worst thing was that it was the female white savior that kind of gave him like the push and shove, like
Oh
go and confess your
God.
feelings. And it's
I
like,
didn't even remember.
that's so overdone and
I,
now
I
it's so cheap.
I just remember how I felt about it. Like I don't remember the act plot wise what happened, but it just made me feel so awkward. Like that it just that it stuck with me even if I don't remember what actually happened. But yeah,
Oh, I
so
remember everything about that movie because I was like with some friends online watching it and we were like, what is this? Like, this is
no, yeah,
so
me too.
wrong.
Yeah, it's awkward. But anyway, speaking of LGBT people, let's talk about Soul again. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
sorry
kind of
about
yeah
that.
we went on a tangent, but it's fine. Like I mean, honestly, in my opinion, if you talk about movies, you kind of have to talk about like culture and
Yeah.
politics and all that. I think it's kind of inevitable. Like they're cultural products and they affect they reflect our culture and they affect our culture. I think that's kind of the way it works. But yeah, I'm glad we agree on this as well. And if anyone listening disagrees, we're open to hearing your thoughts, I
Your
guess.
take.
Yeah. Um. But yeah. So okay. So we talked a bit about representation. Oh my God! I almost missed this. I wanted to say also about representation. I think it's as I was watching it, I was thinking like it's very strange. Like in this movie, Soul. I'm talking not Kissing Booth. Like in this movie, like we have this whole section in heaven, and like you have what they were called Jerry and Terry, right? Those
Yeah.
two. Yeah,
Jerry and
but
Terry.
they're kind of like coded in their voice and in their design as like feminine and masculine. Like Terry was the one that did the numbers, right? Like the
Yeah.
antagonist. He's coded like masculine, and oh God, Jerry, right? Jerry's coded as
Jerry
like
was the female one.
feminine, but not in. But they're never like
Hi.
like man or that's great. I mean, I'm that this is very much like my own personal take, but yeah, like it's good. I think I like that I like having characters that don't like you don't need to say, oh, is he a man or is she a woman, right? Like it's very minor. No one else in the world, I promise you, was thinking of it, but I really I thought of it. Like I was thinking, oh, it's very very nice. She has like a female voice, I guess, air quotes, female voice, but we're not like making a deal out of it. I don't even remember if they say like she or how they refer to. Oh my God, I've confused the names. Jerry, right? Jerry was the one that has
Yeah, Terry
very
was
many
the,
clones. Okay,
yeah.
yeah, okay, and
I don't
also with
think they,
22.
I think you're right. I don't think they ever mentioned their gender. I think they were
Yeah,
just like Jerry and Terry. Like,
yeah, and
yeah.
with 22, it's the same. Like it's coded. It almost looks like a baby. Like it's just like the big head and the small body. It could be like anything, and they even like shape shift at one point if I remember correctly, and it's like, oh yeah, great. Like you don't need to have like coded gender for a character to be a character. They can just have a personality either way. I guess I'm rambling with this, but I liked it a lot, so that's fine. And
I
and we're
love
talking about that, so
22. He's
yeah.
the best. Sure,
When
she's the
he
best.
excuse me, what can you repeat the words? I didn't hear it well. When she what?
I love 22. I think he's awesome.
Oh, 22. Yeah, sorry. I thought I said I love when he and then a verb and I didn't understand. But yeah, I think 22 is great. You go ahead, talk about it. I'll add my take.
Like, 22, what, like, I don't know if it was intentional or I'm reading too much in it, but I saw like a tweet that talked about like 22 is the age where you just want
Oh,
to like sit on your bed and do nothing. And uh and 22 was literally a representation of that. He just wanted to eat pizza and watch Sleeps and live his life the best way he could without worrying about his purpose or his spark.
Or her, yeah,
But
or
that
her.
was at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
At the very beginning, he was just like really, really existential crisis. He was like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, yeah, what's the purpose of going to Earth? Like, there's nothing good. Like, there's nothing. And I think like we have all been through that era. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
speaking for everyone, but like personally, I have been in that stage. Like, well, what's the point? Like, we're all gonna die anyway, so like we shouldn't do anything. And seeing like a character that thought exactly like that was really reassuring because it's like, okay, so I'm not alone. Like, there's people that actually think that, and they made it into a movie, so
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
like the struggle. If it feels like your struggle is being seen and heard, I guess. I mean, I felt that way, and it's kind of what I got from what you said. Yeah, right.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
and yeah.
one of the
Sorry, you can go on.
things, I'm sorry, one of the things that I really, really like was his entire transformation about what he saw of life. Because 22 didn't have a purpose. He didn't think, or she didn't think that he had like a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us worry about that. Like, what is my
Yeah.
purpose on this earth? And the fact that he discovered that his purpose was just being alive was
Yeah,
really beautiful, and it made me cry. I'm not gonna lie.
that's great. I mean, yeah, I Pixar, I think, has done like movies that are essentially about like existentialism before. Like the very first Toy Story is very obviously about that. But I think this one is like, I really like how like, and this is gonna sound strange because I think earlier I said like, oh, I don't like when this is too on the nose. I like that this is very on the nose. Like, yeah, this is what the movie is about. It's about the purpose of existing, and I really like in relation to 22, like how drastic their change is throughout the movie. Because, and I mean, not just how drastic it is, but the fact that even though it's a relatively short movie, I really bought it like very easily. Like, I wasn't like, oh, really? Oh, really? Like, you changed so much? Like, how come? Like, I really felt like the change happened to like, this is, I think. Hola. Hi.
Hi.
Ok, ¿sí me escuchas?
Sí, ¿me escuchas?
¿Se cortó un poquito?
Se cortó bastante, pero
Oh, no.
si quieres dale de que desde donde estabas y pues corto todo lo que no se escuchó.
Hola, Rebeca.
Hola,
A ver, te empiezo a escuchar otra vez, sí. Oh, Dios.
no puedo creer que
Hola.
pasó esto. Problemas técnicos. ¿Se escucha? Hola, hola. Hi.
Hola. Hola, ¿me escuchas?
Yes. ¿Qué?
Ah, ok. Gracias a Dios. Ok, súper bien.
Mira, lo que podemos hacer es de que, o sea, obviamente recorto todo lo que no se escuchó,
Ajá.
pero si quieres, dale, o sea, dale refresh a lo que estabas diciendo.
Ah, ok. Voy a empezar ¿qué estaba diciendo? Estaba diciendo de character development, luego empecé a hablar de que de 22, ¿cómo empieza?
Sí,
¿Escuchaste eso? ¿O lo volví a decir?
progression, sí.
Ok, ok. Voy a darle otra vez entonces.
Sí, dale, dale.
Ok, voy a hacer un aplauso de que para que en Audacity se vea dónde empezó esto, ¿ok?
Ok.
Ok, ya. So, so I really like 22 a lot because, I mean, I really so I really, it's not just that I wasn't even questioning myself, like, oh, why is 22 making these decisions, right? Like, I was just along for the ride. And the same goes for Joe, I guess. Like, I just felt it, and I mean, I think that's when you see it's really effective, right? Because when you're not even thinking about it, you just go along with it because you feel like it resonates with you a lot. I think that's great, honestly.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Um,
Uh, yeah, one of the things, it felt really natural. Like I was never questioning anything that they did. It all felt like really, it really fit into their character arc.
yeah, and it just flowed. Oh, I'm sorry. It just like kept going. No, it just it felt natural, I think, and that's very subjective. I know. I don't care. For me, it was it felt like it went very naturally. Um. Oh, um. So before we get off 22, I think we can talk about them as a pair because I did want to talk about, like, I did want to specify a little what I said earlier about the structure in relation to Brave, and I said Inside Out, right? But what was the other, like, a positive example?
Yeah, you said Inside Out and Brave. Yeah,
Yeah, and so if like if you want to add something, just go ahead. But I'm gonna try to be very brief with it. Like, I personally, when I saw Brave, and I've only seen it once, so it may be the
me
best
too.
movie ever
So,
made, but I don't
like,
remember. Um, from what I can recall, like, my experience with it, was like I started watching it, and then there was the first twist. I'm not sure what, I don't remember what it was. I think it was like, the main character kind of like left, something like she didn't want to be like a princess, or she left. I think it was something like that. In that first twist, I'm pretty sure the trailers like showed it, so I was like just going along with it, right? And then there's the second twist where, like, I mean, I guess spoilers, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, her mother turns into a bear or something, and there
yeah,
may be another twist. I'm not sure. And like that twist, I remember I was like, wow, holy s word! Like, I didn't see this coming. And yeah, thinking back on it, I still don't see it because I don't remember what's happening. I'm sure it made sense. It didn't resonate with me, but, and here's what I wanted to get to. I think this movie structurally, superficially, does something very similar, which is, and we talked about this, you and I, before, like,
before, yeah,
recording. Yeah, that, like, the movie starts, and like I said, like, it's, you got this very normal everyday plot, and then you get that twist, which I didn't see many trailers for this, but I did remember vaguely that there was something like ethereal about it. Someone became something at some point.
yeah,
So I thought, oh, okay, this is the plot. And then I wasn't timing it, but I think like 25 minutes in, there's the second twist, which is when they come back to Earth, and the story is not about, oh, how do we get back to the world? It's about, oh, how does this happen? How does, what happens now, and, like, again, superficially, it's very similar in the sense that they subvert your expectations twice, at least twice.
yeah.
But I think, and again, I'm not like an authority on Brave. I probably, out of the people who saw that movie, I may be the least, like, knowledgeable or
I
authoritative
don't even
person
remember
about it.
watching it, so it's fine.
So, but yeah, but just generally speaking, I think this one, they did very similar tricks, and I think this one worked. I can't really testify concretely as to why, but I think it had to do with just, I think it was much simpler, because in this one, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I want to get into specifics because I don't remember that, but I do think it had to do with these specific characters. I do think, from what I remember, that these characters are much more like fleshed out and much more, I don't know if more relatable, but definitely more fleshed out
Yeah,
at 20 minutes in than
Brave.
the main character in Brave, Merida, right? What's her name?
Yeah,
If I'm not
Marina.
mistaken. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and Inside Out is the opposite. I think because they have that. The first twist is that they leave. I guess. No, I'm not sure. Maybe that the structure doesn't apply to that, but it's similar. It's more similar in the way that it's about, like, more spiritual, ethereal things. But yeah, I wanted to mention that about Brave. I don't know if you have something to add to this. Maybe.
I like how you talk about subverting expectations because all through the movie, I thought teaching was gonna be his spark,
Oh
Joe's
yeah.
spark. but I was definitely wrong, and I'm
Yeah,
glad.
this that that's interesting because as I was watching it, as it was coming to an end, and you get like the part of the message is um like, okay, you don't need to want to be like great, or you don't need to be like, you don't need to be great, and you don't need to want to be great to be alive, and to be happy. Like, you deserve to live, you deserve to be happy either way. And that's something that 22 did not know, because prior to Joe, all of the like mentors that had been with 22 had been like these larger than life people. Like,
Yes, I
yeah,
really like
so
that.
it's like, and I wanted to mention that because while I was watching it with those first the appearances of like those, I guess, cameos, I could say, um I was thinking like, oh, funny. But I wonder if this is gonna be relevant, or if it's just gonna be like, haha, funny reference. And then, they surprised me, because it actually was with a reason.
Yeah,
It literally is part of the point. Like, yeah, you don't need to want to be the next Aristotle, right? You don't need to want
for
to
the
be the
next
next.
Mary Antoinette, which they
Yeah,
show in the movie, I think.
yeah, exactly. And so, going back to what you were saying, I thought that at the very end, like, my theory as I was watching it was, oh, like, when 22 is going to go to the world, and then Joe is going to become like a mentor for these specific cases like 22, who maybe don't want to go to Earth because they feel like, oh, I don't want to be like this great person, like whatever. I thought that because of that, and because we literally opened with him being a teacher, I thought, well, thematically this would make a lot of sense, right?
Yeah,
um, and I honestly, I know I am agreeing with myself, but I still think that makes sense. As I say it right now, I think, like, I don't think the movie is bad or wrong for what ultimately happened, but I do think, like, that was a possible road that,
they
I
could
mean,
have
I
taken.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess the message is the same. I like being right in my predictions, I guess, sometimes, except for when I'm not. But yeah, I want to ask, when you said that you thought teaching would be his spark, you meant like specifically like he would realize that literally, like, in the real world, not like becoming a mentor, but like he would realize that literally being a teacher after all is quite cool, or something like that.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna go the traditional way, and
Yeah.
that he was gonna remain alive and discover that music wasn't his spark. It was really
Oh,
teaching.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
think part was it, I have to ask, was part of that the scene with, like you said, with the student that went to the apartment, and when he was a cat, and then like 22 started talking to her, and maybe like that one was going to be like, oh, actually teaching can be really good. Or at that point was your prediction like completely different?
No, that's when my prediction began,
Oh,
but
okay,
I
yes,
was
I just
obviously
wanted to make
wrong.
sure. So yeah, because I mean, as I was saying, I think it keeps you guessing, but in such a way that a lot of possible there are a lot of possible roads, and they could all make sense, I guess. So I mean, yeah, that does seem to be the case.
I really did
um,
like how it ended because it gave him another chance to live his life without the pressure of being someone great. He was just gonna enjoy his life, uh,
yeah, yeah, no,
living a simple life. Yeah.
I wondered about that. I mean, I would, like I said, like, my prediction was that he would stay as a mentor. I did not know if he was gonna come back or not. Like, I thought, like, will they go the way of like killing him, like not killing him, like making him go, past the point of no return, I guess you could say, or
Yeah.
what will happen? And because I thought, I mean, I like the ending. I would have respected them a lot if they just left him like dead, because he actually, I mean, he literally did die. Like, it wasn't like, oh, accidentally they took his soul, right? Like there is a minor character who gets killed by Terry, if I'm not mistaken, at
Yeah.
a point. But like, it wasn't like that. Like, he literally did die. But I mean, I also I like second chances, so I'm like, yeah, I like that he got a second chance.
Sign me up for
um
that. Yeah.
Please, yeah. And it's like, yeah, because he got like an enlightenment, right? Like, he went into a journey that made him reevaluate his life. And by the way, we didn't really mention this, but I think from like, I personally really like that, it's not just that he's told like, oh, you should enjoy everything about your life, but that we actually, through his journey with 22, when they're like with the man in the, oh god, what was the barber, right?
Yeah, the
With the barber
barber.
and everyone there, with his mother, with, oh god, with like the student, of course, like you actually get to see, and you know, the more casual moments of like just sitting down, and when the wind was like blowing 22, like you actually get to see all of these moments that make you as an audience go, oh, you know, this is actually cool. Like living is cool, even if you're not like, you know, you don't play the piano, like you're
You're
not a
not
famous piano
Mozart or
player.
something like that.
Yeah, so I mean, it sounds very simple, but just I really like when the movies, like a movie or a TV show, like makes you, like shows you, like makes you feel a theme, as opposed to just telling you about it. Like it really gets you, because it gets you on the same emotional place where you kind of don't even really need to be told. You're understanding it. If it works well, you understand it even if they don't tell you. But I still like that they tell you, because I know that some people may just watch it and think, okay, what's going on here, you know? But yeah, so I wanted to mention that before we moved on. I think it helps to the ending, honestly.
Yeah, it really did help. And it also like that very same message in the context of 2020 and the beginnings of 2021, it really works because I think this year literally forced a lot of people to slow down and
Mm-hmm.
to start like living every day like as something new, because there's not a lot there's not much to do when you're in lockdown. uh, and sometimes like you have this mentality that you have to be productive and that you
Mm-hmm.
have to be doing something to in order to be like worthy.
Mm-hmm.
And with COVID, I think it really has made us like slow down a little bit on that mentality.
Yeah.
And the movie just kind of like came out in the perfect as a perfect way to end the year, and just like confirming everything that we learned on 2020. Like, yes, slow down, live your life. I watch the skies, eat pizza, be happy. Like,
Yeah, I think like for people in like our position, who can like survive in the lockdown without like having to be working all the time, it's really great to have this kind of like story, because that's something that can affect people's mental, like, yeah, it is a privilege to be able to like not, not have to work to survive, but it still comes with its negative consequences for like mental health, which can have terrible repercussions, like,
yeah,
like I've been seeing reports about how rates of suicide have been like sparking, I think, at least on the UK for university students. But I mean, I'm if someone wants to fact check me on that, that's fine. But yeah, I like, I think it's a very good way to respond to the anxieties of the people that are in this particular place where, yeah, we have an opportunity to enjoy things that maybe past the age of 23 we're not going to be able to enjoy as much, like regularly. I think we could, but regularly, like right now we can just like stay home. I would even say, like, if you're staying home, like, and you can if you have free time, try to rest as much as possible, because who knows when we're going to go out and you're not going to have that much time. But
yeah.
I'm sorry, I digress. I'm going on a tangent. I think the message is very important for and very like meaningful for people like us who are in that situation where, yeah, it could really affect us to like just give up and think, oh god, like life is meaningless if I
If I
can't,
don't do
I don't know.
anything, if I am like, if I
Yeah, and
am
I say that as a workaholic. I really like working, but I know that it's mostly because, like, it's not the same as there being, I mean, it's derived from, but there are societal pressures, and it's different. We shouldn't let society pressure us into feeling like useless for not working. uh I guess unpopular opinion there, maybe. um but yeah, I think it's a very good message. I don't know if they I don't know if there was like there were like rewrites, reshoots, like reanimating during lockdown, or if it just happened. Um, I mean, the really interesting, I don't know, what do you think? But I think the really interesting possibility is that it was a complete accident, but like it's a response to anxieties that we already had that COVID just kind of exacerbated. And the movie is kind of like, oh, I mean, we were just trying to make a movie about something that already happened. We didn't know that that 2020 was going to like make that, more intense. That's the way I think it happened.
I
But
do
I don't know.
agree. I do think that it was a complete accident
Happy accident, yeah.
because yeah, I mean I think it is becoming a lot more normal for people to in their 20s to be like stressed about like their lives and the direction
Yeah.
that it's taking, and it's everywhere. It's on Instagram, it's on Twitter, it's when we talk, like the first time we met we talked about existential crisis, like
Oh yeah.
yes, it's a lot normal to talk about that, and it's and I think that it was a happy accident,
Hmm.
and that it really worked in their favor that they consider this kind of theme for the movie.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I'm not like, we're not saying that existential crises are like a cool thing now. We're just saying that
No, they're
they're
not.
like a no, they're just like a normal thing. And it makes a lot of sense because like the like generation wise, there are a lot of disadvantages that we have. Like we've been growing up like with constant like wars around us and crises, and all the disinformation happens a lot with the internet. All kinds of terrible things that would take a toll on any person's mental health, but we're young, and so it hits harder. And all of the societal pressures and expectations, there are some that mostly for economic reasons I think our generation can't really reach very easily, so it feels like, oh, I'm failing, I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
When not necessarily. I mean, there may be some cases, but they are the exception. The norm I think is mostly bigger, like societal issues. And we don't really talk like, I mean, in school, I mean, we don't really talk about how they are mostly societal issues, and we just internalize them and pressure ourselves.
To do better and to do
Yeah,
more.
yeah, but in like a toxic way, like do better, like work more, like sleep less, um
Yes. Like
and
if I don't finish this homework, I cannot eat. Like I cannot go to sleep. That kind
yeah,
of thing.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, there are ways to address those problems like in a systemic way, I guess. But it's good that the movie is at least telling you like, hey, like relax, like
Slow down.
yeah, like if you can take time to do this, please do like take time to like rest or like have fun, eat a pizza. Like, I mean, that was a really good looking pizza.
Yeah.
I mean, my
For an
opinion.
animated film, it
Yeah,
really looked tasty.
yeah. So yeah, I think we this is one of the movies that we generally agree on, partially because of like what we started out by saying, like what you said, that it's very universal. I think it's very hard to be like mad at this movie. Not that there aren't people that are
There
mad at it.
are there was one in Facebook uh that talk about how it was something not from God, and that it
Oh
show
yeah.
you hell.
Yeah, I did. I saw like passing a few things about that, which, in all fairness, I'm not sure if they were serious or if they were like satire. There, because they could have been satire. I imagine I have done satire on those kinds of things, so they could be satire. But yeah, I could actually, like, just yesterday I saw like some group complaining about, saying that, have okay, no, yeah, I'm sorry, this is gonna go on a tangent. I'm just gonna go back. There's no need for a story. So yeah, I think there are some extreme takes because it deals with the whole idea of death and the afterlife, reincarnation, um the soul world, right? The
Yeah,
idea world
the
of that.
afterlife,
um
what happens next.
yeah, and I guess, I mean, I'm putting my own like religious perspective here, but I don't really, whether or not like you believe anything or anything like exists, like it's just a movie. And I mean, if you don't want to believe that that's how it works, that's fine. Like it's literally just a metaphorical way to show something. Like I don't know. I guess it's very like strange. I don't think many people are actually going to watch this and think, oh, this is how it works. Maybe it worked like that, but I think people are generally going to like watch it and go, oh, well, that was a movie that
That was
happened.
a nice take. Like, I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, just it's a what do they call it? It's dramatic license, you know. I don't know if it's true or not, but who cares? It's the it's a
It's
story.
just a
It's fiction.
movie. It's a story. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. I
it's
agree.
very it's very strange. And but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just like it deals with the idea of like the purgatory and all that. I mean, superficially, like there's this middle point between being alive and dead, you know, but nothing too problematic, I guess. Although I'm not too religious, so I wouldn't know. Maybe it's something that depends on that.
I wouldn't know either. So yeah, like
Yeah. So but yeah, I mean, I do have to say though, and this is like for anyone listening, like when I watched it, as I said, like I had seen very little like trailers, mostly like and ads before YouTube videos, and I just cut them off. Um, but you know, generally speaking, like the only thing that I really went into the movie knowing was like I saw like a tweet that said essentially that the point of the movie was that you learn to live, you know, not necessarily like, oh, I saw this movie and it's great that it taught me that the only important thing is not to do something but to live, you know. And I was like going in already thinking of that. So yeah, I mean, I guess either way, I was still it still kept me guessing like how they're going to do it. But yeah, I mean, I think it worked generally. Just anyway, I
that's a
don't think it
really great
affected much.
reason to watch a movie. I watched it because I saw someone say like I cried and I was really emotional that day and I wanted to cry, so I put it on.
I didn't cry, but I did cry with the earlier movie from Pixar last year, the On Board. Yeah,
Troll, the
yeah,
one with Tom Holland and Chris Pratt.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just at the very end. No spoilers, but I did cry at the very end. I don't think anyone watched that movie, but I think it was very genuinely good. Like I don't know how they put out two really solid movies in the same year.
In 2 years,
Um,
in the same year. Yeah.
yeah, which is really great.
Uh,
Um,
do you have any final thoughts or like something that you really want to tell about this movie
I
before going off to talking about WandaVision?
yeah, just one last thing to kind of like repeating one thing I said. Someone who is like smarter than me should do some kind of like long-winded analysis of all of these, like how these Pixar movies do the whole buddy cop gimmick. You know, Woody Buzz. Sorry, I was gonna say Cars. Lightning McQueen and Mater. The two characters from Up. All of those like there has to be like a philosophical reason, like related to dialectics or something, why they work as a structure, right? Like you got the thesis and the antithesis, and they form a synthesis, something like that. I'm not knowledgeable or smart enough to know that, but someone who is, I would really encourage you to make it. And if you want to give us your take on it, we do welcome that. So
Yeah,
feel free.
please. We are really open to listen what you think about, and yeah, and if you also have like as Manu said, if you have a take on the cup and body kind of gimmick on it, we will be really interested in hearing about it because
Yeah.
we're not
So
smart enough for that.
yeah, we're not. We just want to talk about things for like an hour.
Yeah.
Just lastly, just remember. When I was watching it, I did like when I saw the info about the movie, like in the credits, and then after watching it, I realized that the voice actors and the voice actresses were like famous people and people that I know. So it's like not personally, but you know, but I wasn't thinking of it, which is great. I mean, I guess I was just too sucked into the experience to really think of it. You know.
I watched it with my dad, and he was like, "Who was the voice?" And I was like, "I don't know, Dad. Like, I was just enjoying the movie." And he was like, "It. He had a really powerful voice." And I'm like, "I don't know who he is." And then he came out, and he was like, "It was Jamie Foxx." And I was like, "Wow!" Like I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the last thing for me.
For me, it's go watch this movie. It's really great. It would really give you a whole new perspective of life and how to live with it. I'm not
I
kidding.
I don't recommend it. No, I'm kidding. Of course, I recommend it to you.
I was about to say, like, what are you
like,
talking about?
Like after I spent 1 hour talking about it, I'm gonna say, yeah, I give it a 2 out of 10. No, it's really good. It's really solid. I would really say best movie I watched this year. Sorry, last year. I don't know, but maybe the best one that I saw that came out last year.
Definitely top 5. Like, I don't know if it's the best one, but it is on top 5.
I have not seen. I like to since last year. I like to do like a marathon of the best picture nominees. So I guess when they come out, I'm gonna do a marathon. But I think I can imagine that there are if it's not nominated itself, like even if it's not nominated, I can probably imagine like it's gonna be in top 5 anyway. I mean, generally, but yeah. So very good. I recommend it too.
That concludes our discussion for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're listening from Spotify or YouTube, please subscribe, share it with your friends. It would really, really help us out. And also leave your comments if you have a different take on what we just said. We are open to hearing different opinions and we want to hear more about you. Thank you so much for listening and goodbye.